It's been a couple of weeks since I made a video. Um, I've been wishing that my videos were more polished like other people's videos. And so I was going to try to kind of read ahead and then I have some idea of what I want to talk about. But by doing that, because my time is so limited, because I'm a homeschooling mom and I just have these little snippets of time, I'm not able to share it all, which is what's happened the last couple of weeks. So I'm sorry, guys. You're just going to have to take me raw and stumbling because that's what I have to offer. Ezekiel 9, I started reading this one and I just felt like we should read along, okay? So then he called out in my hearing with a loud voice saying, "Let those who have charge over the city draw near, each with a deadly weapon in his hand." And suddenly 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in his hand. One man among them was clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. They went in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now, Ezekiel was in the northern part, from what I understand, of the southern kingdom of Judah. The northern kingdom has already been carried away about 140 to 150 years before Ezekiel comes on the scene. He is in captivity. He was among some of the first who were carried away into captivity by Babylon. So they started in the northern, capturing some of the northern towns in the southern kingdom, and then slowly worked their way down until they finally took Jerusalem, the capital city. So he's already in exile when this happens. And the taking of Jerusalem itself is imminent. And so most people would interpret that this prophecy is about the destruction of ancient Jerusalem. And it may have been a type and shadow and may have been talking about that. But I have reason to believe that this is actually talking about the destruction of where the capital of God's people is today, because that's what Jerusalem was. It was the capital of God's people. Let me see. I looked that up. Where did I look it up? It must be here. All right. So Jerusalem, renowned as a capital of all Israel, because remember, Jerusalem was established as the capital during the time of King David. That is when the northern and southern kingdoms were united. They were united under King David and remained united under his son Solomon. It wasn't until the son of Solomon that the kingdoms were divided into the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom. So Jerusalem was the capital of all Israel, and then afterwards was the capital of the southern kingdom. Specifically, it was a seat of central worship in the temple. The first named as the city of Canaanite Adonai Edek. So that was its name before its name was Jerusalem. And Jerusalem, roughly translated, it says, is foundation of peace. So I think that to understand this prophecy, we need to understand who Israel is. So really quickly, let me just tell you who I think Israel is today. I'm going to go to Romans 2. I'm in verse 27. And will not the physically uncircumcised, if he fulfills the law, judge you who even with your written code and circumcision are a transgressor of the law? For he is not a Jew who is one outwardly, nor is circumcision that which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart, in the spirit, not in the letter, whose praise is not from men but from God. So remember that in the book of Revelation, it says It talks about those that say they are Jews but are not, but do lie. The only people today, because we are under Yahushua HaMashiach at this point. He has come and he has suffered on the cross and suffered in Gethsemane. And those who are Israel are those who follow him. So those who deny the Mashiach, who deny Christ, are not Jews. They cannot be. Because they have to be those who are of the circumcision of the heart in the spirit. It doesn't matter whose blood is in their veins. If they deny the Mashiach, if they deny Christ, they are not Israel. Here's another verse. This is John the Baptist. I'm in Matthew chapter 3. But when he saw many of the Pharisees and Sadducees coming to his baptism, he said to them, "Brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come? Therefore bear fruits worthy of repentance, and do not think to say to yourself, 'We have Abraham as our father.' For I say to you that God is able to raise up children to Abraham from these stones." And that's very interesting, because we have the scriptures that tell us that his temple is made up of lively stones. All those who follow Christ, who follow the Mashiach, are the stones from which he is building his city. We have Abraham as our father. For I say to you that God is able to raise up children to Abraham from these stones. And even now the axe is laid to the root of the trees. Therefore every tree which does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. John 15, starting in verse 5, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. So if they have denied the Mashiach, then they can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered. And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. Only those who abide in faith in Jesus Christ, Yahushua Mashiach, are the ones who are Israel. Going to Romans chapter 11, and if some of the branches were broken off, okay, so those are the wicked branches who have the blood of Abraham in them, right? And if some of the branches were broken off, and you being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them became a partaker of the root and fatness of the olive tree, do not boast against the branches. But if ye do boast, remember that you do not support the root, but the root supports you. You will say then, branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well said. Because of unbelief they were broken off, because they did not believe in the Mashiach, in Christ. And you stand by faith. Let's continue Ezekiel. No, not 23. It was 3. Where did I put it? I have too many tabs open. Hang on, I'll find it. Nope, let me correct myself. It was Ezekiel 9. I found it. So, now the glory of the God of Israel had gone up from the cherub, where it had been, to the threshold of the temple. And he called to the man clothed with linen, who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And Yahweh said to him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. Look at this, and put a mark, which then takes us to the book of Revelation, where only those who have the mark of the living Elohim will be protected, right? Just like those who had the blood over their door were protected. Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. And that made me think of Zephaniah 3:18. I will gather those who sorrow over the appointed assembly, who are among you, to whom its reproach is a burden. So this is the group of people that sees that all of Christendom, all of our organized religions have become a burden to bear for our God, for our Father in heaven. And we're sorrowing over that. We are looking forward to this appointed assembly to return to us. Those are the ones that he's going to gather. Those are the ones that he puts the mark on the forehead. Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. What was Jerusalem again? What did we read that it was? It was the foundation of, let me get it right, the foundation of peace. Jerusalem, the capital city of all Israel. Could we even for a moment say that bloody, warmongering place today that calls itself Israel is the foundation of peace? Especially since Yahushua Mashiach is the foundation of peace. So the modern Jerusalem has to be a place that at least claims to be rooted in Christ, to be the foundation of peace. So going forward, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. So that reminded me of Isaiah chapter 1. When you come to appear before me, who has required this from your hand to trample my courts? Bring no more futile sacrifices. Incense. So sacrifices at this point in this age are a broken heart and a contrite spirit. Incense is an abomination to me. Incense is the prayers of the saints. The new moons, the Sabbaths, and the calling of assemblies. I cannot endure iniquity and the sacred meeting. What did it say? Those who are marked are the ones who are sorrowing. Oh, let me just move this over next to the Ezekiel 9 where I'm reading. It says, who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. The abominations that are done in the name of God. That's how they're done. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hates. They are a trouble to me. I'm weary of bearing them. When you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, these are our praying people. Incense, I will not hear. Why? Because your hands are full of blood. To the others he said, in my hearing, I'm back. Nope, wrong one. That's Ezekiel 23. Oh, that's interesting. Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. I didn't even realize I was in a different chapter. Let me move this over. I'm so sorry. I have way too many things open. No, that was Ezekiel 9. Okay. Ezekiel 9 says, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. Ezekiel 23 says, no, that's Ezekiel 9, no wonder. Oh, I'm freaking myself out because I looked up here and I saw Ezekiel 23, but I am in Ezekiel 9. Okay. I was like, how can that be exactly the same? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, now it's making more sense. Okay. To the others he said in my hearing, go after him through the city and kill. Do not let your eye spare, nor have any pity. Utterly slay old and young men, maidens, and little children and women, but do not come near anyone on whom is the mark. Doesn't that sound like Psalms 91? Surely, I'm in verse 3 of 91, surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. It's really interesting that he uses the symbol here of covering you with his feathers, because remember, he's going to give the woman in Revelation chapter 12 2 wings of a great eagle to fly into her place of safety. Also in the Exodus, if you go to the book of Exodus, you will find that their flight out of Egypt, out of bondage, was described as if he had carried them on the wings of eagles. There is a reason why all of these symbols are repeated over from the book of Exodus to the book of Revelation, because he's trying to show us that a type and shadow of this has already been done, so that we understand what is coming, so that we don't need to fear. His truth shall be your shield and buckler, right? Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod, which is the word of God, and thy staff, which is his power and might, they comfort me. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. So there are multiple judgments that are about to come upon Israel, modern day Israel. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night. Okay, I think this is the 3 days of darkness, which I still want to go over with you guys. Nor of the arrow that flies by day. This would be of some kind of a military invasion. Nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness. Okay, so this would be like a repeat of the how do I say it? COV 1:9 stuff that we just went through, maybe another version of it. Nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. He is warning his people not to fear. Because in striking Egypt, that is Isaiah 19, he shall heal it. Okay? He is warning us over and again. So going back to Ezekiel 9. To the others he said in my hearing, go after him through the city and kill. Do not let your eye spare, nor have any pity. Utterly slay old and young men, maidens, and little children, and women. But do not come near anyone on whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. See, and where is it starting? At his sanctuary. Okay, this cleansing is going to begin among those who profess his name. It's starting with the churches. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. Then he said to them, defile the temple and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. And they went out and killed the city. So it was that while they were killing them, I was left alone, and I fell on my face and cried out and said, oh, Yahweh Elohim, will you destroy all the remnant of Israel in pouring out your fury on Jerusalem? Look at that. All the remnant of Israel. Wait a minute. Ezekiel knew very well that the southern kingdom was no longer called Israel. It was Judea. That Israel was the northern kingdom that was carried off. This is not talking, except maybe by shadows, about the sacking of Jerusalem around 600 AD. In that time frame, it was 590 something. I don't know the exact year, but It's not talking about that, except in shadows. This is talking about the remnant of Israel being destroyed because of the fury that's being poured out on Jerusalem. Why? Because Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem, is the gathering place where the remnant of Israel are going to be gathered. And so if the modern day, if the new Jerusalem is destroyed completely, where is the woman going to flee to? Because that's the place that's prepared. And a remnant is still going to be there, according to Isaiah. The remnant won't be destroyed. It says right here, your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in your presence. This is exactly what we were reading about in Psalm 91, all these great calamities. And it is desolate, is overthrown by strangers. So the daughter of Zion, not original Zion, the daughter of Zion, is left as a booth in a vineyard, as a hut in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Unless Yahweh Sabaoth had left us a very small remnant, we would have become like Sodom. We would have been made like Gomorrah. Because this place that is being called Jerusalem in Ezekiel, this latter-day prophecy about the New Jerusalem, is the place where the remnant is going to find itself. But remember, he already showed Ezekiel that those with the mark would not be harmed when all of these calamities come. Then he said to me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceedingly great. Because one of the things you find is that Judah and Israel, the house of Judah and Israel, are together in the same land in this latter-day saga. And the land is full of bloodshed, and the city full of perversity. And what is the city again? Remember what it said? Jerusalem is the foundation of peace. The city is full of perversity. Are we a people of peace? Are we causing peace to come upon the world? Or have we become one of the main arms of the adversary to spread bloodshed and hate throughout the world? And the land is full of bloodshed, and the city full of perversity. For they say, Yahweh has forsaken the land, and Yahweh does not see. And as for me also, my eye will neither spare, nor will I have pity, but I will recompense their deeds on their own head. Just then, the man clothed with linen, who had the inkhorn at his side, reported back and said, I have done as you've commanded me. Now I'm going to follow this up with Psalms 50 because I believe it's talking about the same people in the same time. The mighty one, God, Elohim, Yahweh, has spoken and called the earth from the rising of the sun to its going down. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God will shine forth. Our Elohim shall come, and he shall not keep silent. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous all around him. So this is talking about the tabernacling of the Mashiach with his people in Zion. That is where he's going to tabernacle with them. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together to me, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Remember, that is the sacrifice of a broken heart and a contrite spirit. Let the heavens declare his righteousness, for Yahweh himself is judge. Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against you. I am Elohim. I'm not sure exactly what that says. I don't think it would say, I am Elohim, your Elohim. Hang on, let me just check. I am Elohim, Elohika. Okay. Yeah, it does say Elohim, your Elohim. Elohika has the on the end of it, that means your Elohim. Okay, so interesting. I will not rebuke you for your sacrifices or your burnt offerings, which are continually before me. I will not take, this is interesting, a bull from your house, nor goats out of your folds, nor every beast. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the fields are mine. So this is talking about physical sacrifice. He's not asking that of us. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and all its fullness. Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Offer to Elohim thanksgiving and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble. Okay, this is the time of Jacob's trouble. This is this time that is so generously spoken about in the prophets. It's amazing how many scriptures talk about this day of trouble, the time of Jacob's trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. So remember, these are the ones that have his mark on them. Call upon me in the day of trouble. But to the wicked, Elohim says, what right have you to declare my statutes or take my covenant in your mouth? Now notice who he's describing the wicked as. These are religious people. These are the people who are declaring supposedly his statutes and taking upon him the covenant of baptism. Seeing you hate instruction and cast my words behind you. This is a reprobate people who are calling upon God, but not in truth or righteousness. That's Isaiah 58 or 59. I think it's 58 though. When you saw a thief, you consented with him and have been a partaker with adulterers. You give your mouth to evil and your tongue frames deceit. You sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. We're not supposed to bear false witness, right? These things you have done, and I have kept silent. You thought that I was altogether like you. So because he was silent, they thought that Yah was approving what they were doing, that they were in the image of Yah in what they were doing and saying. And how many people have lost their faith in Yah because these people have misrepresented his truth? But I will rebuke you and set them in order before your eyes. Now consider this, you who forget Elohim, lest I tear you in pieces and there be none to deliver. Whoever offers praise glorifies me, and to him who orders his conduct aright, I will show the salvation of God. If you love me, keep my commandments. Him who orders his conduct aright. Let us not think that because we are in the hour of grace, we are also in the hour of lawlessness. It's not what that means. It means that even though we stumble, through his grace, we will be saved. If our heart is right and we want to keep his commandments, and we are trying, and we are searching his word that we might be like him, so that when he comes, we will know him because we will be like him. And those others will not be like him, right? Just like we just read in verse 21, these things you have done, and I kept silent. You thought that I was altogether like you. I have to get into the 3 days of darkness. I've got to spend some time on that. The one thing that I'm going to say about it, though, is I do not think that it is going to come upon the whole world. The 3 days of darkness originally, when it happened, in it happened only in Egypt. I haven't been able to see any records. I haven't come across any records, like in China and so forth. You know how they have ancient records from that time. There doesn't seem to be any mention of 3 days of darkness anywhere else. I do believe that it specifically happened in Israel. I'm sorry, not in Israel, in Egypt, where his people were. And I believe that it's only going to happen in Egypt this time as well. Anyway, we'll get into that further. I hope this was a profitable study. Shalom.